A very good evening to you and welcome to RTV News with me, Fiona Mbabazi. Now, this Friday, President Paul Kagame participated in the virtual Global Health Summit that, among other things, discussed strategies to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The summit was co-chaired by Italy's Prime Minister and President of the EU Commission. We do have the details with Serge Nore.
The Global Health Summit featured different dignitaries that included heads of state and government, as well as the heads of international organizations that deal with matters on health. President Paul Kagame pointed out to participants that as terrible as the COVID-19 pandemic may be, it has also provided a positive opportunity for change.
The challenge also presents an opportunity to do things better and different. First, we have to urgently improve the frameworks and tools needed to defeat this pandemic, and others that are sure to follow. Ending COVID-19 will require expanded pathways to vaccine access for populations throughout the world. The COVAX facility, along with African Union Vaccine Acquisition Tax Team and the African CDC, have helped to distribute millions of vaccine doses to our continent. But much more is needed for Africa to defeat the pandemic.
The current chairman of the African Union pointed out that the continent needs to use this pandemic to learn how to deal with future calamities. We believe that Africa, just like the rest of the world, should use this opportunity to establish concrete channels of cooperation to assess possible solutions to this problem. Done well, this approach can also be used to formulate calibrated reactions as a provision for possible future pandemics. Developed nations have often been criticized for dragging their feet when it comes to sharing vaccines with others, most notably COVID-19 vaccines. This has been seen to potentially have a devastating global effect if that attitude does not change.
COVAX has delivered nearly 70 million doses to people in 125 countries, the first of over 2 billion doses secured for 2021. But as you've heard, there are dramatic and unacceptable inequalities in coverage. We must deliver faster.
Rwanda's president has made it clear that Africans are not just sitting around and waiting for others to do for them what they should be doing for themselves.
In the context of developing hubs for manufacturing the vaccines in our continent, Rwanda is in advanced talks with private firms and multilateral agencies to build manufacturing capacity in our region for the raw materials to produce mRNA vaccines. I thank the European Union institutions for the strong commitment we have seen to working with Rwanda and Africa on this priority.
All the participants in the summit agreed that extensive global cooperation is necessary if the pandemic is to be totally defeated, and that one individual country's financial means will not somehow magically make it immune to COVID-19 and all its variants around the world.
The Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, a farmer-centered and African-led and partnership-driven institution, has launched a technology initiative known as Value for Her. Now, Value for Her is Africa's first agribusiness intelligence platform aimed at facilitating the growth and development of women-owned agribusiness enterprises. We have the details with Ungari Jade.
Nina Nyirampeta, a mother of two who lives in Kichuchiro district, is an entrepreneur who started vegetable and fruit farming, but has also decided to grow mushrooms. We found her working at Busanza. She says going into agriculture has helped her build forward, but it isn't without its obstacles. 8,000 seedlings can give me 5 million in 3 months a year. If there are 4 seasons, it could turn out to be 20 million. Mushrooms are vegetables that die quickly, and the market is big. We need to satisfy it, and it would be good to provide them with produce that does not perish quickly. We need machines. In my opinion, the first thing they can help us with is training. connecting us with financial institutions, trusting us as farmers, and connecting us to the international markets. Value for Her is a new initiative aimed at facilitating growth and development of women in agriculture. They will assist them to find markets for their products, access financial and investment services, access knowledge that will help them in their agriculture, access information, and enable women on that level of agriculture to have one voice. The country director of Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, in Rwanda, explains how this approach will be used to meet the needs of women in agriculture.
It's technologically driven. Once you log in and get registered and put in your information, the people at the back end will be able to capture and bring down what you need to the institution that's best appropriate to help you. And the beauty of a digital platform, technical resources don't need to be in Rwanda. Even finances, not all of them need to be in Rwanda, but it will benefit Rwandese.
He also said that the Value for Her program aims to increase the number of women in the agricultural product market and to be able to access new domestic and international markets. It also helps them find investments and connect them with partners who will help them grow their business.
It's a known fact that there are limitations facing women. Knowledge limitation, access to finance limitation, and other cultural and societal hindrances. So Value for Her, it's a platform that will help any woman who is in agriculture who want to grow benefit on 3 counts. The first one is information, sharing of knowledge and learning new skills. The second one is access to finance by connecting them to financial institutions, both commercial and government. We place actually some money in BDF. And the third one is market. Once you produce, we want people to move beyond producing to eat, to producing and having a surplus that can go to market that meets standards.
A member of Ignite Seed and one of the women who has gone into commercial farming says that there are challenges in their work that they believe will be helped by the new technology introduced in Rwanda. This agreement is one that mutually helps one another. Since I am in fruit farming, I need someone that works at the bank to assist me. It is networking. We will work with different people, including leaders, who will tell us how we need to do it better. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion has noted that women in agriculture face serious challenges, including a lack of information, insufficient knowledge, lack of access to markets, and lack of investment. She stressed that the Value for Her approach provides hope for addressing these issues. She also points out that it will also help women to move away from subsistence farming.
What we can tell to the women around the country, it's to call them to make use for these opportunities that we have, because we've seen that women need capacity, they need information, and this network Value for Her is mainly for this. So we call them to make use for these opportunities so that they can build they can empower themselves, empower their families, and empower the country as a whole.
In Rwanda, at least 300,000 women in agriculture are expected to be assisted in 5 years, with AGRA aiming to achieve at least 1 out of 10 of that goal, 30,000 annually. Statistics released by AGRA show that the Value for Her method has been launched in Africa for the past 3 years, with a participation of 758 women in the agriculture sector, leading to business from 36 countries, with an annual turnover ranging from $20,000 to $100,000 paid to those involved. Umngari Jade, RTV News.
Now, the United Arab Emirates has reiterated its commitment to supporting Rwanda's development efforts 27 years after the country's liberation and the end of the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi in 1994. Now, the statement was made during the commemoration activities organized by Rwanda's embassy in the UAE.
The commemoration featured the lighting of a flame of hope, testimonies and presentations that focused on the roots of the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi in Rwanda back in 1994. but also the progress the country has been able to make since it was halted. Speakers at the event noted on how terrible things were in Rwanda in May 1994, as well as the hope that existed in the hearts of many that the horrors would soon end. The Tutsi were betrayed 3 times over by their neighbors, relatives, even spouses and immediate family members, their government that was supposed to protect them and ended up killing them, and finally they were betrayed by the international community that abandoned them when they needed it the most. During this period back in 1994, the Tutsi were killed in what used to be Gitarama, as well as in Nyamagabe, and it was on this date that the inflammatory radio RTLM called on the country's army and Interahamwe militia to kill General Dallaire, who was heading the UN forces in Rwanda, so that they could reach their objective without further hindrance. However, it was also during this month of May back in 1994 that hope began to grow that the genocide may be stopped after the RPF in Inkotanyi captured the airport and Kanombe military camp. Also to speak at the event was Dr. Deogene Bideri, the principal legal advisor at Rwanda's National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide, who explained that the genocide against the Tutsi was no accident, planned as far back as the First Republic, and the second that accelerated its implementation until it was finally carried out in 1994. He stressed that the Tutsi were being killed in atrocities even in 1959, atrocities that became significantly worse in 1990, and between 91 and 94, many were killed before the actual genocide against the Tutsi began, facts that were confirmed by the testimony of the genocide survivor, Gilbert Rutaisire Horingoma, at the event. Other speakers also reminded the importance of not ignoring all Rwanda has achieved since 1994, despite such a painful past.
We have to focus on how far we've come as a country and the fact that this should never happen again. Leadership is such a key component in this. And as we're all in the UAE has been demonstrative of this, that leadership can take you to completely different heights, as has Rwanda. And God blessed Rwanda truly with His Excellency President Paul Kagame, whose leadership and his true visionary style, but also his humbleness, authenticity, and truly living it, and not only saying the right things, but actually doing them, is the most important thing. And we've all seen this, and we're seeing it. One of my favorite anecdotes is when you mention to the leadership that, a lot of people reference Rwanda as the Singapore of Africa or the Switzerland of Africa. And, immediately our leader says that, it's not going to rest until those countries are referred to as the Rwanda of Europe or the Rwanda of Asia. And I think that mindset and that passion of making a difference, but with the people first, is a truly, truly remarkable one. And Rwanda today, I'm sure a lot of you have been there, and the ones that haven't, I'm sure you will visit very soon, but is a truly phenomenal place. One of the top 10 cities in the world, that's the safest, cleanest, top 10 fastest growing economies in the world over the last decade, and the only country from that list that's projected to be in the top 10 fastest growing economies in the next decade.
The UAE has reiterated its commitment to supporting Rwanda's development efforts 27 years after the country's liberation and the end of the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi in 1994.
And 27 years after the world's most heinous crime, the people of Rwanda chose a path of recovery and reconciliation, a path that offers hope and optimism to future generations, to the region, and to the world. This is reflective in the remarkable degree of stability and economic prosperity that we have all seen and enjoyed in Rwanda, despite this very difficult chapter of its history. Since the establishment of diplomatic ties between the United Arab Emirates and Rwanda in 1995, our two nations have fostered an exceptional and strong partnership that has continued to grow and prosper. We are a committed partner to Rwanda and to its leadership, and we always will be. In this spirit, I hope that today can not only be a commemoration of the victims of the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, but as you've articulated so well already, a celebration of their heroism and their leadership, and for showing us that the way toward a better system for prevention, response, and healing is possible. Kwibuka, now and always.
Officials in Rwanda's embassy in the UAE have urged young people to shun genocidal ideologies that are usually propagated by genocide perpetrators, with more than 1,000 such people still roaming free around the globe despite the atrocities they committed. Calls were also made for the international community to work with Rwanda to ensure that they are brought to justice.
Now, the Dutch NGO Eco Corporation has concluded its project that for the past 5 years had been helping small-scale farmers in Africa to develop. The NGO's administrators have commended the fact the livelihood of farmers in Rwanda has been steadily improving.
The Strengthening Africa Rural Smallholders Project, or STARS as it is better known by its abbreviation, helped to transform the lives of small-scale farmers, elevating them to levels previously thought of as unattainable.
The changes were profound. For example, we used to have little tontins that members would contribute 100 Rwandan francs each, and it was never enough to buy things like fertilizers, and our yields always suffered. Through training, we were able to dare to take loans for our farming activities, and now our harvests are plentiful and pleasing.
birangije tubona umusaruro mwinshi kandi mwiza. Twari dufite imbogamizi cyambere yari imyumvire.
The first challenge we had to overcome was our own mindset. Before we had worked with ECO, our farmers were not developing at all. Since 2005, when the cooperative was first formed, 13 years and nothing to show for it before the NGO came along. Now we have a savings account that currently has close to 30 million Rwandan francs in it, and it helps our members with their farming activities, pays for their children's school fees and health insurance on time. While the STARS project focused on maize and rice farming, there are plans to step out into other crops as well in the value chain. The project looked at challenges farmers face and addressed them, giving them greater access to markets, financial resources, and relevant information. It also empowered them with knowledge, giving financial institutions more confidence in their profession. We acted as middlemen, linking farmers to lenders at a small interest rate. In the time it was operational, STARS transformed the lives of thousands of farmers. Our goal was always to help small-scale farmers to develop, and in the beginning we had 49,000 farmers in Rwanda that we were helping, and now we have managed to reach 89,000. Also, financial institutions were only lending male farmers when we started. Now 58% of all borrowers are women. Farmers now call themselves businessmen and women, and are able to pay back the loans they take. Now insurance companies should step in as well, so our farmers can be compensated when natural disasters strike. This was reiterated by the project's manager, and he also made a few comments on the way forward now that STARS has come to an end.
The STARS program and the partnership with MasterCard Foundation has come to an end. ECO, that implements the STARS program, is here to stay in Rwanda and will continue with new partners to build on the success of the STARS program. For example, in different parts of the country, in different value chains, but also with different microfinance partners and banks, and also continuing to build innovations, digital innovations, that make it easier for farmers to get loans and make it easier also to make transactions with their crop, for example selling it or buying inputs. So we'll definitely continue.
The manager also touched on the importance of working together to make ECO a success in its operations.
ECO as a program is only successful because of its partners. Primarily the Rwandese government, Ministry of Agriculture, but also all our private sector partners that are active in the value chains, that are active in the financial sector. And it's with those partners that we manage to achieve those results. So it's a joint success, and that is the only way how true progress can be realized.
The Interchurch Organization for Development Cooperation, or ICCO, has been in existence since the 1960s, and its STARS project had been operating in Rwanda, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso and Senegal for the past 5 years.
And in sports news, many people across the sections have welcomed the fact that gyms are back in operation. Now, this comes after the Ministry of Sports announced that gyms shall resume operations upon assessment of the compliance with COVID-19 preventive measures.
In reference made to resolutions taken from the cabinet meeting held on May 5, 2021, the Ministry of Sports has announced partial resumption of sporting activities amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The ministry set out guidelines that must be complied with for a smooth resumption of operations. After an agonizing 1 year, gyms and gym goers celebrate the resumption of indoor gym sessions. The collective sense of relief, both within the industry and among the gym goers, is palpable. Some of the gym goers express how they looked forward to this moment.
I'm really excited to be back in the gym after, I think, over a year without them. They're really good with the measures. You get your water bottle and your towel to clean everything afterwards, and the mask. So yeah, really safe environment, really enjoying getting back to exercise.
Trying all our best to take all the measurements that have been told us. You see, I clean, I keep a distance, I'm alone. We have the cleaning tissues, we have all, whatever we need. We always keep a distance. So I'm so lucky that I can train again for almost the whole year without competing. Now this year I have 3 competitions. That worker fitness is behind me. And I'm encouraging whoever that has been scared.
In spite of the resumption of some gyms within the city of Kigali, some gym owners, alongside managers, expressed minor obstacles, saying that some residents are hesitant to go back to the gym, further explaining that people are still unsure of the safety in the gyms, while others have become accustomed to working out in their homes. They assure residents that the gyms are safe and are following the preventive measures to ensure a safe return to the gym.
People are coming slow by slow. But the most concern with people is that they think the gym is not safe because of the picture that we got from all the announcements that has been out, comparing gyms to entertainment place. So that picture has somehow affected us in a way. And actually, we are not the dangerous place among, and we hope to see people coming back now since we are open, and to leave home and come back. We are very safe here. We have worked with the Ministry of Sports, with RBC, and to work together so we can put in place guidelines that can help people to stay safe.
We make sure that every single client who step in the gym, they have their own hand sanitizer that they came with, but we also provide the spray with the towel to clean. We make sure that they clean any machine or any bench they use before, and then they also have to clean it after. And on the other side, we highlight to them that we are not allowing them to use the shower before, as they finish the workout, that they have to shower from their home, which is something that is on the guideline that they have put up. We're also limiting the number of the people that we have to accommodate on one go.
The Ministry of Sports on 9th May 2021 announced the resumption of gyms with directives that at most they operate at 50% of the capacity, and there has to be mandatory social distancing, and also the gym facilities must allow a minimum of 1 hour window for extensive cleaning between every workout session. Gabi Muvunyi for RTV.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for keeping it RwandaTV. And of course, as normal, every Friday we have our guest anchor. But unfortunately, due to the bubble regulations at BAL, DJ Ivy is joining us live from BAL. Ivy, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Free. How's it going?
Good, 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 good. As we start off, maybe just tell us, who is Ivy?
We know Poison Ivy, the DJ, is an amazing woman, phenomenal. But for the purposes of today's conversation, On top of being the official sound strategist for the world champion Dallas Mavericks, she has returned home right here to East Africa to serve as the official sound director and music coordinator for the Basketball Africa League.
Awesome. So how did you get into DJing, Ivy?
You know, I've been into music my whole life. Played piano. I can hold a note, maybe two. It's been something that's been present throughout my whole entire life, as has been sports. And so, as you know, I was fortunate enough to start DJing when I was in college. Thank you to a couple of friends who showed me the way. And honestly, just never looked back. I begun sports DJing about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've worked with the Dallas Mavericks ever since. And have had the opportunity to not only work with NBA Africa, but now to come and serve as, you know, the sound coordinator and music coordinator for the Basketball Africa League during its historical launch in year one. And coming right back home to East Africa. You know, I'm Kenyan, so always have to represent for the East. So yeah, it's been about 10 years in the making, but I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. You've talked about how you play some of the instruments because I've read about it, you know, piano, the cello. Do you come from a musical background?
You know, I do. I come from a artsy background, just to be fair. My mother was very much into theater and the arts and that side of things. I didn't actually meet my dad for the first time until I was 21 years old. But believe it or not, upon meeting him, I walked into his house and guess what he had in his house? DJ equipment. So I guess you can say it's been in my blood even before I knew it.
That's true. We're glad to have you back, of course, in East Africa, not just representing the 250, the 254, but now also representing in the 250. You know, how's your experience been at BAL?
Man, I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, obviously, the league has been very, very careful, and we do have to observe COVID protocols. So personnel such as myself who are, you know, in contact and proximity with players are not allowed to leave close quarters. But might I tell you, this country is so beautiful from what I can say. And more than the beauty of the country is the beauty of its people. And of course, I can speak Swahili, so I feel right at home. I'm loving it. I have 2 days in Kigali before I head back to Dallas after the bubble. So I cannot wait to see what the city has to offer.
Yeah, that will be great, you know. So your thoughts on Rwandan music? I want to get your thoughts on Rwandan music because when you got here, we saw you tweeting, send me some songs, we saw you talk to Ish Kevin. What's going on? What are your thoughts on the Rwandan music today?
Man, I love it. I love it. I'm just loving the fact that, you know, wherever I go in Africa, right, I'm finding the Rwandan hip hop. I'm finding Rwandan traditional music. And correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me how to say it. Is it Ithinzi? It's the victory song that I've been playing.
Ithinzi, yes.
Ithinzi, yes. Right. Been finding a little bit of each, right? Finding the R&B, finding the Bruce Melody, the Ish Kevin, the Catalina, the just DJ Toxic, and all. Just the music community has been so welcoming to me, and I mean, I love it. I love it.
We go straight then to some of the questions from our Twitter feed. We have a question from D. Musoke. He says, we want her to clarify for us how our artist's music isn't clean, please.
When I made that comment, it was not specifically directed, I'd like to clarify, to any Rwandese artist. This was a comment that was targeted to all African artists. As you all know, I am so happy to champion African music, but you know that sometimes while we rap in our vernacular, we also rap in English. And what I cannot do, right, in a corporate entity is play curse words, right?
Yeah.
And so if your music has curse words, please just have your engineer take a little bit of extra time and make a clean version so that if I am in a corporate environment or if I am on a radio or if I am on a medium that requires me to have a little bit more of clean music, I have that. I can't play the F word, can't play all these curse words for a global viewing audience of millions of people. So when I said clean music, I didn't necessarily mean the content. I just meant specific curse words. That's it. And that goes for all around the world, whether you're African or not, right?
Yeah. Our next question comes from Didier. He says, please let her tell us about her journey to the Mavericks. How did you get to Dallas Mavericks as the first female DJ to actually do it?
Man, it's been quite the journey, but to keep a very long story short for the sake of time, I was a Dallas Mavericks ball girl, right? The players, the kids you see wiping the floor and rebounding for the players. from the age of 12 to 18, right? So embrace any and every opportunity to get you within close proximity of that which you think you want to do as a career. I went to college. I went to Marquette University. I worked in sports while in college in the sports office, and I honestly just embraced any and every opportunity to get me close to where I wanted to be. And so after having toured with WNBA standout Skylar Diggins-Smith, I became the DJ for the WNBA's Dallas Wings. And then I called the Mavericks and I said, hey, listen, I'm down the street. I need an opportunity to just be an intern or to shadow. And at the time, the door was not open. But 2 months later, they needed a new DJ. And guess who they called? So the moral of the story is to make sure that you're always at the top of mind of whoever it is you're trying to get in contact with. And so 5 years later, 3 All-Star games later, one NBA Africa game later, and I'm here for the historic launch of the BAL. So you see that the NBA is celebrating its 75th anniversary, WNBA is celebrating their 25th anniversary, and the BAL is celebrating the first anniversary. So hopefully we're here for many more years to come.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Of course, you're making Africa proud, keeping up the flag out there. Last but not least, we have a question from Aline Bellrich. She says, based on her name, Poison Ivy, is she referring to the Batman nemesis Poison Ivy or the actual plans? How did she get this name?
Both. I mean, let me tell you something. The Batman arch nemesis is she was one of the first Marvel heroes. And so being a female and being out there representing for the females, I definitely adopted that. But she was also friendly to the environment. You know what I mean? She was also looking out for those who weren't looked out for. And then when you look at the poison ivy plant, right? It's triangular. It's one of the most stable in shape. You know what I mean? And guess what? It never dies. So even when there are no roots, it never dies. So I'm hoping that's the same for legacy. So I borrow a little bit from both.
Well, thank you very much, Ivy, for making time with us. And of course, keep raising the African flag to the world out there as you keep representing. And of course, seeing a woman at the very top, it's an awesome thing to see.
Thank you so much for having me. And make sure you all visit the BAL.com to make sure that you get all up-to-date news at the games. And I hope to see you all at Kigali Arena.
See you then, Ivy. Thank you so much.